when we hear about the cybercrime bill, we might think that the sections in it, the terminology in it is too technical for us to understand. But if it is one section that you need to focus on in this cybercrime bill, it is section 20. The language is simple, the language is clear. I will read it twice. A person who intentionally uses a computer system for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, embarrassment, insult, injury, humiliation, intimidation, hatred, anxiety, or causes substantial emotional distress to that person is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $70,000 or imprisonment for a term of 7 years or to both. I read section 20, subsection 2 again. A person who intentionally uses a computer system for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, embarrassment, insult, injury, humiliation, intimidation, hatred, anxiety, or causes substantial emotional distress to that person is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $70,000 imprisonment or a term of 7 years or both. What is inconvenience? What is humiliation? What is anxiety? What is substantial emotional distress? On any day, you and I may post something in WhatsApp, in IG, on Facebook, on TikTok, that causes somebody to be anxious, that causes substantial emotional distress to someone, that causes them to be annoyed, and that causes inconvenience to them. As a result, you and I can be found guilty under subsection 22 and be fined for $70,000 or imprisonment of 7 years or both. I will let that sink in. And when we think of our young people who are always on the internet, who are always on IG, on TikTok, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and cause their friends to experience annoyance, that cause their friends to experience anxiety, that cause their friends to be inconvenienced, or cause them to experience substantial emotional distress. Your children, my children, all grandchildren can be found guilty and on conviction fined for $70,000 or imprisonment of 7 years or more. If you don't think this is madness, you should be fined $70,000. The thing is that in the US and in Canada, the definition of cyberbullying does not include these things. Why are we widening the scope of cyberbullying to include causing somebody inconvenience and anxiety and emotional distress? Why? In Canada and the US, cyberbullying includes posting pornographic material, hate speech, threats of harm and violence to encourage suicide and criminal harassment. Look at the difference. You can assess what hate speech is. You can assess what threats of harm and violence are. You can assess when you encourage somebody to commit suicide. Can you assess? Can these magistrates assess? Can the normal police on the ground assess if I am causing you inconvenience, anxiety, humiliation, insult? My grandmother always would say an insult is how you take it. So if you take what I say as an insult, whether it is true or not, I can be charged and fined $70,000 or 7 years. The other leader of the opposition in Parliament during this meeting of the Joint Select Committee on this bill asked about if there is a post on Facebook and you have several comments that cause inconvenience and anxiety and emotional distress, who is going to choose who will be charged? I will let you think of that. Who do you think will be charged under this bill? It is an arbitrary matter. It depends on who is going to be charging and not actual crime. There is a doctrine in law called void for vagueness. If you do not know that you will be committing a crime, if you do not know what the crime is, the law can be deemed void for vagueness. This section is potentially subject to be deemed for void of vagueness because we are not clear what inconvenience is, what anxiety is, what is insult, what is emotional distress. We can cause all these things to any politician. It means that we are silenced effectively because we don't know. We do not know. In Canada and the US, under their cyberbullying measures, they do not impose imprisonment and fines on people. Do you know why? Because the majority of offenders of cyberbullying are young people. 1/3 of the internet users in the world is young people and children. If your child does a post that causes these things, you know who's going to be liable? You, because they're minors. You have allowed them to go on the internet to post something that causes anxiety, insult, inconvenience, annoyance to their friends. What they do in Canada and the US is not charge these young people with fines and imprisonment. They do what is called restorative justice. They impose counseling sessions, intervention, psychological intervention. That is more palatable. So when we march against the cybercrime bullying, the cybercrime bill, it is not that we are just marching against it. It is because of things like section 20, subsection 2, that we are afraid that not only us will be charged and imprisoned, but also our young people. So when we march, when we talk, let us talk with conviction and with knowledge about what we are talking about. Section 20, subsection 2. Thank you.